Welcome to the OFX podcast. I am your host, Dave Claxton, along with the loopy lady of the liaison, Bethany McChesney. Something like that. Loopy lady liaison? Little loop liaison. Something along that line.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. All right. We'll go with that. There's loops, there's ladies, there's liaisons. Little loops. Anyway, how
Little
did
loop.
how did it look? Because it looked awesome, but it looked like a fucking scorcher.
So it's funny because it was hot out, but honestly, I think once we dealt with it so well though, and everyone just had such a good attitude about it. And we had all the cooling strategies. We brought like home backyard sprinklers set up around the tent area so people could always run through them and the kids would play in them. We had endless amounts of ice and ice buckets for people. And then we actually had the Strathroy Fire Department show up around 11 a.m. and they were hosing people down for like 2 hours. Like so yeah. So and it was so funny even just like it was kind of the point, it was a halfway point and it's getting a little bit harder mentally and people's faces lit up so much when they just got like hosed down. They kind of had it running almost like they were running through a rain shower and it was so funny to see just how excited people were. Like everyone instantly became like a 5-year-old kid like running through the sprinklers when they came. It was so funny. So, people really, yes, it got hot. People adjusted their paces and their goal distances, but it really wasn't as bad as you think. And the whole park was pretty much shaded with all the trees, and the loop was shaded. There was a hot section, but where there wasn't shade, but most of it had shade, and it wasn't as bad as you might think. So, and people just kept in pretty good spirits about it.
Yeah, but like it's a trail run. It's supposed to
Mhm.
be in the elements. It's not like doing a high rocks or a deck outside. It's supposed to be outside. These are things you're supposed to deal with. Um,
Yeah.
did anybody like because if I went, I was totally gonna bring a canopy, like I bring to RX1.
Everybody had canopy. Everybody did.
Oh yeah, you gotta have that.
Yeah, and we were in a pavilion. So if they didn't have one, then some of the teams were underneath the pavilion. So everyone was in shade when they weren't running.
Well, all right, that's good. Then so now after you gave out like some awards and stuff, what awards did you give out?
So we had so many gifts given to us by sponsors. A lot of really neat things too from like our local sponsors. Our swag bag had a running belt, so a really cool little running belt. And then we had an energy drink sponsor. We had BioSteel. We had energy gels. So Sun River. We tried to keep all the companies from Canadian organizations as much as we could. And then and then we had some local things. So like our prize winners we have a place in town called the Cookie Bar, and they made custom cookies for the winners. What else did we have? Designated drinks. Everyone got a beer mug. We
Oh,
had
they got a
non-alcoholic
mug?
beers for yeah, they got a mug. Yeah,
Love
their
it.
bag, the winner's bag was stacked. It was stacked with stuff actually. Yeah, it was pretty nice for them to win that. And then they all got a bell, like a cheering bell that had like their what they won on it. So
Yeah, I saw those. I saw
it's pretty
those.
good. It was pretty good bag.
You know what? But this we've been saying it for a long time, right? This is the shit that Spartan should take notice of. Like, make a fucking swag bag for winning shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will t say that it took time and my little race committee of the three of us, they spent a lot of time reaching out to businesses and then collecting them and kind of sorting out the details of it. So that would be probably the most time consuming piece, but then everybody left with something. So everyone left with swag. Even the medals that we made the medals. So everybody's medal was a cowbell. with our logo and our the Fit Farm logo and the Little Loop logo on it, and like we made the ribbons, like we did a lot of this stuff. And then the kids races had like a little bell that they can carry on their backpack and annoy all their friends with the jingle and like so, and we made all of those two. We put them together. So there was a lot of little things that we tried to do a little bit unique or special so that everyone did walk away with like being like, that was kind of cool. Or honestly, it was the best swag bag that I would say I've had in like for like a long, long time since, my high school days when trail races gave out cool swag. Like it was the best swag bag I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, that's awesome. The last trail race I did where I actually got anything was what is it? Something the Fox. It's a Chase the Fox or something like that. In
Oh yeah. Mhm.
I did that one, and I one age group I think it was. Anyway, and I got a mug, and it sounds like you
Yeah.
guys got that and a lot more.
Yeah. A lot more. Yeah. And I think too, because it's our community doesn't really have a whole lot. And a lot of it was from the community, but a lot of it was just from businesses. We tried to pick again businesses that were Canadian, maybe, like Sun River, which is a newer company where, we help them, they help us. Like it's a very like symbiotic situation where kind of helps us both. So we had a lot of really, really positive support from businesses like that. So local and national
And one of
businesses.
my favorite like designated drinks, who I mean, loved for a long time, and the best logo. I love their logo. It is the
Yeah,
best
the
logo.
old truck.
The old truck with the beer, like it just works. And you can get Athletic Brew at designated drinks.
You can. Yeah.
Man,
And we had free iced coffee for everyone. We had um the bakery in town donate boxes of cookies. Like our aid station was pretty awesome too. So
okay, so like, who won?
Andrew Doan, who you might know actually from the Spartan racing scene, he is an age group athlete.
Okay.
So he hit 57.5 kilometers. Yeah. So our loop was 2.5K, which we really liked this concept because it got people that were nervous about running long distances able to take small bites at a time. And, going out for another loop wasn't like committing to running another 10K. So it's small increments. And especially I think with how it ended up being with the temperature and the heat, people never had to go too long without always being with their aid, which was also good because we wanted to be able to keep an eye on people and any signs of heat sickness, which we didn't deal with any issues with that too. So the so I forget how many laps that is. 23 laps
Mhm.
that he hit. So
Yeah, well, and like,
yeah, 57 and a half. I know he wanted to do more, but I think his goal was 60. Um, So not too far off, but and then we had second place was 52.5 kilometers and third place was 50 kilometers for the men on the men's side.
and the women.
The women, we had two ladies. Actually, it was interesting because we had a lot of battles going on, which makes it really exciting. So the two women both ran 42.5, but the first woman was just 90 seconds ahead of the second woman.
Mhm. After eight
Um,
hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, I think the biggest difference was really just that the first place girl never stopped. She would run through her aid station, grab her water, and just keep going. Water or pickle or sandwich her, and she would just carry and eat. And the other girl was taking breaks. So the second place girl was a faster runner. First place girl just didn't stop. But the first place girl didn't know that she was in a race for first. So if you follow my Instagram, there was a story where I announced the winner and she was taking her selfies at the finish line. No idea that she won. And her reaction is just absolutely priceless. But she didn't know. She had her headphones in the whole day, and anytime I would announce anything, she just never heard it. Like I think her music was blaring. So she had no idea that she was winning. So it was awesome. And she's someone who's very new to running, really. She started running for High Rocks Toronto last year and then just kind of kept going and runs probably a lot more now than she ever would have thought she would. So this would be her first time ever covering the marathon distance.
Wow,
Um, Yeah, and then, yeah, the second place girl is also she's not a local girl either. She's a police officer in London, but yeah, she was right there too. Her first ultra, and then we had a couple of girls that were at 40K that would have been our third place finishers. So still pretty good mileage for the conditions and not ultra runners.
No, no, no. And then you did
Mhm.
teams too, right? You had some teams going?
The team race was so heated. Um, in all ways. We had Jeff and Trevor, who's one of our training partners, and Lindsay Bassagato, who was at High Rocks Worlds with us last year, who I think thought they might run away with it.
Hmm.
But the day before the race, without telling them, I called in some ringers to make it a little bit more exciting for them. And
I'm sure they appreciate it.
our good friend Dana, who's yeah. Well, I mean, it makes it so much more memorable when there's race when it's tight races like that. So our good friend Dana, who's also a pretty solid runner, um, she did not want to run for 6 hours. So I called a kid who I've trained before, and he now runs club track. And he's a grade 11, grade 10, grade 11 kid. And I said, bring in one of your friends and run it however you want. Because with the relay, you don't have to relay every lap. I said, even if you want to run 2 hours, your friend runs 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever, and then you relay the last bit. I don't really care. And I knew as soon as they came and they realized they were gonna have like some fun competition. And at first they were really casual about it, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll come and do our long run, no big deal." And then they realized that there was a team there that kind of had some running studs too. And then they were like, "Guys, I think we can do this." And slowly they chipped away
Yeah.
at catching back up to them. After they got that little competitive fire, and then they just kept closing in the gap from like 3.5 minutes, 3 minutes. It just kept getting closer and closer, and they were, for about an hour, they were like 30 seconds apart, 30 seconds apart. And both teams are just killing themselves, running so fast. And yeah, so the Young Guns, which was their team name, did end up winning in the end, but they both hit 87.5 kilometers, which was way above the one team's 75K goal. Um, and yeah, it was again, so the Young Guns won by about 2 minutes. So again, very close race for running almost 90 kilometers to be that close at the end. But it was just so exciting, and everyone watching kind of saw what was going on, and they'd time the distance between the two teams when they came through, and the exchanges started to get pretty perfected also. So the exchange baton was a snap bracelet,
Oh, that's
the
cool.
90s like
Yeah.
basically. Yeah. So yeah. So they'd come in at they'd have to snap it onto the wrists of their partner. So that became like a practice thing too, or some of the teams got really smooth at the snap bracelet. So
I
yeah,
was
it was so much
interested in
fun.
like trying to wrap it around necks and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, you'll appreciate this. So our third place team ended up in a battle also with um some athletes from Pure Impact, and then against three guys who were an electrician company
Okay.
who they're like, we don't run, we're just out here to have some fun. And then they ended up running really well because they got competitive with each other. And I think too, people that do physical labor for a living are just naturally pretty fit.
You're on your
And
feet a lot, right? You're on your
you're on
feet.
your feet a lot. Yeah, you're used to it. And I mean, electricians too, I think, are really good at dealing with heat, being in tight hot.
Trades again. We are like welders.
Yeah.
When you weld and you're in because you got to wear full safety gear all day.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
firefighters, same thing, right? You got to wear all that gear. You get used to doing it. So
Yeah. And
good.
these guys were just running so well, and neither one of them wanted to be outdone by another one of them. So they were, and then all of a sudden, with an hour left, they'd already cracked a beer, and then I'm like, guys, you're in third place if you can maintain this. And they're like, no way. And then they just started killing themselves after that. And then, so they ended up tying for third, with another team. So it was also they finished and they were like, that was the funnest thing ever. And they're like, I haven't run since high school. And they're like, I really want to start doing it again. Like they just had such a good time. And I think they ran like 62K together. So each of them would have run around 20K,
Mhm.
which that's no joke
No.
for people that call themselves not
Yeah,
runners.
yeah.
So hmm.
It's just when you're saying that, I'm like, oh, me, John, and Chris could do all right. We could have some fun with that.
Oh yeah.
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 Um,
Yeah, it was a blast.
And like you say, you had some of our favorites. You had, I saw Nicole and Joel were out there, or
Yep.
Jacole.
Nicole, yeah, and they
Nicole,
did. Nicole did some rucks, and she ran some and rucked some, and
yeah, and Sharon, one of the Sharons, she was out there, Sharon S, and she did some rucking.
yep, she rucked a bit. I think she ran 10K and then rucked the rest.
That's what she did, like so she rucked 20K.
I think so. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure I saw her with her ruck on for.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not surprised. Like she
She
said
might
that.
have alternated after 10K, but she had her ruck on, and in that heat too. So yeah, she did a lot.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, it was she messaged and she said she wanted to do 30K. She did 32, so she was happy.
Oh, there you go.
And Grace, of course, Grace out there, or Grace was there too, so that's cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it looked awesome. It was one of it was I mean obviously I had a busy weekend, a fun weekend, I had a good time. Saw lots of people that I don't get to see very often.
Mhm.
That was awesome. But I did have FOMO, and I was like, part of me in my head, I was like, well, if we had flown instead of drove, we could have took a red eye back Saturday, made it in time to come
Mhm.
after. I'm like, oh, forget it. That's just too much.
Well, you would have probably had about as much sleep as I did. So,
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah, but yeah. Um,
Mhm.
so if you want to hear about DECA this weekend and how that went, we're gonna have a guest later on. We're gonna talk to Terra. We're gonna talk about that. We wanted to talk with Beth about the little loop thing. Do you want to go through kind of quickly some of the High Rocks changes, or do you want to save that for when we can like really clamp down in it? Because there's some stuff.
Yeah. Why don't we do it later and we'll bring someone on, like Dylan, but I did appreciate a lot of these rule changes.
Some of them I still, and like we're talking still the qualifying systems and all that stuff. Like I mean, there's a lot to unpack, and some we really like, and some not so much.
Uh,
But
like
what's that? Sorry, what was that one?
like the hork
Yeah, the Hork rule.
horking, spitting.
We're on board with the Hork rule.
Yeah.
Hork outside. I always hated that in hockey.
Yeah.
Even in
Or in
hockey,
a bin.
and the guy in the
Mm.
bench. I'm like, oh, dude, just
I know. And as a coach who walks along the bench, and I mean my girls don't, but this year I'm coaching U15 boys also. Well, I'm the trainer. Um, it's gross
really
what
is.
you come onto on the bench. It's so gross.
Yeah. By the way, we never said hockey. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers for stealing a Stanley Cup from Canada again. Even though there's
So I heard a stat where there's like 75% of the team is Canadian.
yeah, well, every team's like that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just,
I mean, when Colorado won, there was only like four Americans on the team or something.
yeah. I I don't mind Florida winning because a lot of people like get upset about I think hockey in Florida is killing it. They're doing great. People are coming to the games, and that's awesome. I'm all for it. I do
Mhm.
feel bad though. Like it's been what since '93 since the Canadian teams won it.
Oh, geez, I don't know. Probably.
I think so. And so it would be nice. It would be nice as long as it's
Mhm.
not Toronto. I get in trouble for that.
Yeah, they
Oh
don't have
yeah.
to win. They sell out anyways.
By the way, I'll get in trouble for that, and then I'll be somebody commented on last week's episode that Bethany has kicked off the Toronto Tourism Board, so I'll probably be kicked.
Why?
You ranted about how horrible going to Toronto was.
Oh, did I? It is.
Yeah, yeah, and then and me being not a Leaf fan, I'll probably get kicked off next. So we will not be on the Toronto Tourism Board. It's
Yeah,
settled.
that's okay.
All right. Well, Beth is on a crunch timetable today, so we're gonna kick Beth out. We're gonna bring Tara in, and we're gonna talk about Deca and some High Rock stuff with Tara and see how what she's got planned for the year. So, Beth, take care, and I'll finish it up.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So, first off, since we might be using this as an interview, it's Tara Jackson. By the way,
Hey,
the picture you sent me is totally going to be the thumbnail for this.
wasn't that like the best like pain picture ever. I mean, I know I have good pain faces, but that's like pretty top tier.
There's you and then our friend Sue, who have the worst pain faces in the world. But you look like you're in agony from the first step.
Yeah, like for the whole ride.
Yeah.
Even when I feel good, I feel like I don't like I'm feeling that good.
No.
Though I watched the race back, and the OCR report didn't do as good of. It wasn't a very good signal, I guess, in there because it was kind of blurry.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
was just like I was watching back the race, or at least some of it, and I was like, I don't look that miserable. Um, but I was like, oh, the quality of the video was not that great. Normally they do a really good job, and it was kind of loud in there too, I guess, and there wasn't a lot of commentating.
well, I think like let's be honest,
They
right?
need me.
Yeah, they need you back on commentary. But let's be frankly honest. I mean, it had to come to an end unless Deca was going to shell out enough money to pay Jason to keep traveling around and doing all like doing massive amounts of work that he was doing, right? Like dude can't afford to keep doing that. Or, like they gotta, you know, you gotta pay to play, right?
I felt that uh, I didn't realize they weren't paying them anymore because it still was the OCR report that put it out.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know if they're not paying them, but I just don't know that. I think, or it's my understanding that they're not like it's not a profitable thing for Jason to do, right?
Oh, okay.
And and
Um,
and the amount of work that he puts in and in
yeah,
money, that's
usually usually his lives are great, like world championships, like very crisp. Like maybe they just didn't have enough people or whatever. I don't know, but it's the live wasn't as good as it normally is. So I don't know if he just didn't have like the resources that he normally has at Worlds or what. But
yeah, yeah. Which is a
um,
shame because Jason does such a good job. Like you say, he's awesome. But I haven't had a
yeah,
chance to watch any of it yet, so we'll see. I think I'm two races behind. I don't think. Yeah, yeah. And you say it was
did you
quiet.
get?
You say it was loud, but it wasn't loud when you took the lead.
No, it wasn't. I was like, I mean, I understand. Like Janelle only lives like 30 minutes from there, so I think her whole gym was kind of there, and I could hear everybody erupt, like every station. I think she took the lead at the box overs,
To
or I
every
like,
to all of our surprise.
yeah, I mean, because I run over those so fast. But like then after every station after that, you could just hear the crowd like erupt every time that Janelle came into the stations. Like she definitely had like the crowd bumping more than a typical deca fit.
Well, I think like there's a few things, but I think probably one of the biggest major thing is the fact that Janelle is just fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like
she
everybody,
is.
Janelle.
And I mean, she's had some massive improvements. Like the last year, her running's really coming along. Um, I mean, she's gonna have a great season if she keeps like progressing the way that she has. And um, yeah,
Well, I remember, what was it, tw when we were in Texas for Worlds, and she came sixth in on the strong. And I mean, it was like, okay, yeah, she's good. But then this last year, when she pushed you on the mile and came second on the mile, and then watching this race, and it was a very similar vibe to it as far as you guys competing against each other. Like it was kind of like she is dangerous.
well,
And
it wasn't even. I think this race, it wasn't even that. She like left me for a while. Like I wasn't really sure that I could like pull her back until it was about the bike that I was like, like I think they said I was like 33 seconds back, and I was like, that's not so many seconds. Like I knew that like I'm really good at the back half of the race,
yeah,
and I knew the possibility. But I mean, she was pretty. I mean, the I feel like when we ran the mile, we were like back and forth. Like it was like it almost felt like Janelle like ran the whole race by herself, and then I just kind of like snuck in there
yeah.
at the end. Um, so I think from a watching perspective, maybe the mile was more fun to watch because it was like always a battle. But I feel like, I mean, I was telling somebody like it's deceptive because the laps are so short, like in the deca fit, they're only like at 250 meters. So like if somebody gets like a half a lap ahead of you, it feels like they're
Mm,
really, really far, but they're not really that far. They're probably only like 25 to 30 seconds ahead.
yeah.
So I think it also probably looked like she was a lot further ahead of me than she was like she was ahead of me, but like uh not so much as it looked, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Um
And if you were paying attention, like if you were really closely paying attention, like I was, so I was watching your guys' splits,
mhm.
like, kind of timing the gap between you guys, and and yeah, the real spots like after the bike, like you say, you could see every running lap just inching back in time on there, and then I think it was the dead ball overs. She actually maybe looked a little bit quicker than you there. It was very close. Like you came in going quicker than she was going, and then you guys kind of evened out. It was tough to say, but then after like every running lap, it was like you were gaining like 6 seconds a running lap, and
Yeah.
it was just coming down to that. And then I think Jill, I think she pushed so hard. I think she just maybe ran out of gas a little bit on that tank and just didn't quite have enough to get through it, right? Well, she had enough to get through it, but not enough to quite hold the pace.
When that momentum shift happens, like
Mhm.
it's really hard if you can't like hang on to it. So I like got this big momentum shift when I passed her that I'm on this high.
Yeah.
And then when you get past, you're like swinging back. So it's a hard momentum shift if you can't like latch on right away. And plus, I think at that point Emmy was so far back, like not so far back, but that not that she's going to catch Janelle.
Yeah.
But I think it's like easy sometimes to sit in like that space because you're like, okay, well I got the second like locked up.
Yeah.
Even Emmy, like she was really aggressive.
You had
Like
a
I was
good race.
surprised how aggressive like she was in the stations. Like I think she was like pulling like me and I kind of got into this like, okay, well Janelle's pulling 206, so I'll pull 206. And then I hear like them say Emmy's like pulling too flat, and I was like, well damn, maybe I should pull a little bit faster. I did not pull any faster, but like I know, I mean, even last year, like Emmy, I remember hearing on the loudspeaker she was pulling like 242 or something like that, and I was like, holy crap! Like I feel like I'm like such a good rower, like it's one of my strengths. But because of like the proximity the row is to the front half of the race, I'm like, this is not the place to send it.
No.
So I'm very like kind of conservative there. But I'm just like, dang, 242, that's like rolling. I don't know what you pulled this time.
You mean 142?
142, that's
Yeah.
what I meant. Because I mean, I think even out of the row, I think Karen and maybe Emmy was out in front of me too. Like we were all pretty like close together in those first few stations. So I was actually surprised. DECA hasn't like released the results where I can look at the splits, but
Oh,
I didn't think that I took out that conservative. So I feel like people were ready to race and like push the front half.
yeah, yeah. Definitely like, and it was Imogene was actually ahead of you coming out of the ski erg.
We were like right beside each other.
Yeah, I know, but but now you say you haven't seen the splits, but I actually have them for you, Tara.
Oh, yeah, okay. What was the first round?
Well, hold on, I'll show you. I'll show you. We'll do the share screen deal.
Oh, I'll be like upset. I did not have a good race. I was like really. I mean, my clients are like, "Oh, you won," but I was like, "Oh, but I ran like the slowest time I've ran in like 4 years." So I'm like, "But okay, how hot did you think it was in there though?"
Oh, it was cooking.
Was was I being like I was like, "Am I being dramatic?" Like everybody else is saying it's hot, but it felt really hot to me, and I was like, maybe it's just really hot.
No, it was
Are
hot.
these my splits?
All right, yeah,
Okay.
these are your.
Can you like scroll down a little bit? I want to see my cumulative 5K. Oh yeah, see that's pretty slow for me.
1950.
1950. Yeah, that's pretty slow. Um, but oh yeah, we gotta look at that box too.
There it is.
48 seconds.
48 seconds.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's you know what? If you have a chink in the armor, that'd be it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I haven't been practicing at all, and I have this like jacked up knee and ankle, and just have all kinds of issues, Dave. But
Ah,
it's off season, so I'm gonna fix all of them.
yeah. So
Um,
it was good. I mean, like, yeah, the box overs, but everything else is pretty solid. But when you talk about the heat, so when I did my run, I
mhm.
usually I don't even warm up for these because I don't have time. That's why I like doing the ruck because I don't have to warm up for it. I just it's a slow start. I just get on and go. I was a sweaty mess by the time I got to lunges. It was
Yeah.
so hot and humid. And I'm like, I'm never like that on the first run, especially like on a ruck because I'm just cruising.
When did they do the ruck? Like, do you remember what time?
11:30.
Okay, because I was wondering because last year they had the elites in the morning,
Yeah. So
so I don't know if it was cooler in the morning and it just got hotter throughout the day, or like it was just hotter that day than it was last year. But I don't remember it being this hot last year.
so I think it was twofold. I don't know if it was hotter. I wasn't at this one last year, but I don't know. So I don't know if temperature wise, but I do know that there was a substantial amount more people.
Oh, okay, so all the bodies in there.
All the bodies. I think the AC just couldn't keep up because by the time like later in the afternoon, it got cooler in there again.
Not at 2 o'clock. It wasn't.
No, not at 2 o'clock. I mean like five, like
Yeah.
4 and 5. It was, it was getting cooler again. And yeah. So I think the AC in that building is just not, it's just not up to that level.
Well, it gave me like more less convention center vibes, more like warehouse vibes.
Okay. I think to be honest, Decca's outgrown that venue.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's kind of like a weird, it's not like the best runnable course either, like with that little dip in and the
Yeah.
curves are really tight. And um, I don't think it's the fastest Deca I've ran, but it's like, um, it's still like comparable. Like I know we talk a lot about like high rocks like courses. Like, I mean, if this is a course that's like slow, it's maybe like 20 seconds slow or something. Cause you do hit all those corners. Like, I mean, you're doing 20 laps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of corners, so they're sharp, but it's not like a huge.
I think probably the biggest thing, the reason that I think the runs would be a little slower, there is a little chicane in it, like that little S turn, but I don't think that causes a lot. I think it's more that the actual course itself isn't as wide as some,
Uh huh.
so you can't really kind of apex that corner as much. It's more like that sharp turn, like you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah,
And
I
this
think
was the first time too. I ran. I saw there were so many people running the teams events,
mhm.
like crazy amount. So me and Janelle, because we had just finished solo, we didn't run with the elite teams or the first waves.
Yeah,
So we were like way back with like I don't know, like 4 o'clock.
yeah,
And the course was pretty crowded. So I've never had to like deal with that much like traffic in a DECA event before, and especially with those sharp turns. Because I mean, I don't think it was the day for us to like break the record, but I definitely think we could have gotten sub 30 if we would have like been in the race where it was like a little less crowded. Because there was a lot of people. They were walking, and it was just hard to maneuver because the course is kind of like
yeah,
odd. But I mean, I think we still put up a pretty respectable time. We were like 30:27 or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to
Uh,
find you guys here so that we can look at it.
we should
There we
be
go.
30:27. Is that what it was?
It was 30:27.
Okay.
A lot of
Hey,
missing stats here.
they don't give us our run. Oh,
Well,
that's not right.
yeah, it
Uh,
seems like there's just a lot of missing pings or whatever, but it's got your run total as 11:23, which it wasn't because it's missing.
no, we Dave. That's what we did the run in.
Yeah, yeah, and 8:20 in the zones,
Did
which
that too.
clearly adds up to 30:27,
Exactly.
if my math is right,
I think we set the world record.
by a substantial margin.
We did. Oh my gosh, Janelle did those box overs in 23 seconds. I
20.
gotta get. I
Oh
gotta
my
get.
God.
That's fast.
That's Marissa slash Amber Quick.
And she ran into it too.
Oh, did she? What were you
So,
doing?
well, like I can't do the box, Dave. So the original plan was going to be that I did the full row and she
Mhm.
did the full bike. But I felt like if the way I was feeling, I was like, if I do that whole row and then have to run, like, because the first run was short,
Yeah.
right? So the second run, so I was going to have only like probably 45 seconds to rest after trying to row like sub 140. And I was like, that's going to be very bad. So we decided to split the bike and the row because I was going to have to run the whole run after the bike, which also seemed a lot less enticing to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, she just had to, because of the way we split it, like she just had to run into the box. And then I just did the next run. So it
I,
gave me a nice long little break there.
yeah. So I didn't get to watch a lot of you guys race because I was everywhere. But it looked like I think on a better day in maybe a different venue, you guys would have had a good crack at it.
Yeah, I think I was thinking like with the heat. I mean, I didn't feel my best, so I'm not like I'm not saying that I would have ran like a real PR time, but I think I'm at least in shape for like a 34 low.
Yeah.
So like give myself like 45 seconds to a minute. The heat, the venue, but I mean, I wouldn't give it much more than that, just because I think I'm in about like 34-20 shape. I'm
Yeah.
not in good a shape, I feel like, or I'm not feeling as good as I felt last year. Last year I went like 33 mid.
Yeah, but you were probably like right now, I would imagine coming off getting ready for High Rocks for the doubles there and stuff. And like I would think you got to be pretty beat up at the moment.
I feel like mentally more beat up than anything. Like I went into like High Rocks and I'd had all these great workouts and I was feeling so good. Had that training weekend with Bridget. We like, crushed it. It was great. Um and even like before the race happened, like I was already like making these plans for like next year. I was like, all right, next year it's like my solo year. I'm gonna get back into, the solo. My running's been so strong, whatever. I ran that first lap and it's like my legs just felt like cinder blocks. Like I feel like I couldn't move. I struggled the whole race, and that's how I felt in DECA this weekend. It felt like every step was like just difficult. And um in the High Rocks doubles race, so I have my bad foot. My whole body's bad, Dave. So I rolled my ankle on one of the ropes after like literally during the briefing, he was
Oh,
like, be careful of the rope. So I rolled my bad foot, and it didn't affect me during the race because your adrenaline's like so high. Like I didn't feel it. But like that night, like it was so painful. I thought I'd broke it because I couldn't sleep. Like it was terrible. And I like couldn't put any pressure on it for like anytime I get up to go to the bathroom or something, like I could barely walk. But then the next day, walked around a little bit, like get loosened up, and then it was fine. So I don't know. I think I just like it was just aggravated. That concrete floor is like really tough to run on. Like it's not great for your joints. I think the one thing I've noticed though is like, which is a good thing, I guess. I'm not as sore like muscularly after High Rocks anymore, but that my joints from running on that surface is just like they get real beat up.
I'm interested actually because I was thinking about this and I've been, hearing other podcasts and stuff. One thing that nobody's talked about, and maybe they went over this in your briefing for the doubles. So maybe you can tell me, when did they start
Mm.
changing the penalties? Because I mean, we saw Sinead and Lucy drop the bag, right? And get I can't remember, I think a 15-second penalty for that, or
Literally,
literally that day.
that's the first race. I don't know if they did it for the Elite 15 regular, but they changed it, and allegedly from my understanding, they're going to change it for all the races, which I don't know how that's going to work. Because I was going to ask you, like, I understand that it's going to be easy to apply to Elite 15, but like when you have like thousands of people running, how are you going to divvy out these penalties to everybody?
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to know? Like, are you going to take their number time? You're going to make them stop? Like, if they get multiple penalties, I don't know. And I in some ways like the 15-second penalty because I feel like some stations the penalty is way too high for the infraction, like the sled pull.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you touch that line and you basically get a minute penalty for something that gives you no advantage.
Yeah.
Again, it's a total accident. Like it's not like you're intentionally trying to step on the line. You're not trying to gain an advantage. Sometimes I've even tripped and stepped on the line, tripped on the rope or something. So I don't like that penalty. I mean, with the wall balls, it's fine. You just do more wall balls.
Yep.
Um, and then because we got two penalties, so we got a 30-second penalty. Um, I got a penalty for like burpees. Like they said that I was like jumping with my feet staggered, which if they were staggered, I don't think that they were that staggered to me. But I got a penalty for that, and Bridget got a penalty for stepping on the line and sled pull. So it's like those like little things that I just feel like I don't know how I would change it, especially the sled pull one, because I know that there has to be a rule of where your feet can and can't be, but I don't think that the penalty should be so severe. And I don't like the idea of you crossing, like when Snead and Lucy crossed the line. I don't like that they finished first and they didn't get first. Like, it really like for both parties, like it robs like Lauren and Lauren of their like, I crossed the line, I'm the world champion, because then they don't get that until like later. So when they cross the line, they just cross the line in second. But then Lucy and Snead basically they win, they have all this like celebration and happiness, and then like 20 minutes later, they're clearly upset because of like some small infraction that gave them no advantage. Well, they dropped a sandbag at the lunges on a transition. Like I guess they were passing it off and they like dropped it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the whole thing didn't even hit the ground. It just one end touched.
no, because I don't know because I didn't see it. I'd have to watch it back, but I heard they dropped it twice. One time it hit the ground, and the other time it did not hit the ground.
I watched it. I watched it very closely, and I only saw the one drop in the transition zone. One end hit the ground, and they kind of picked it up from there. I never saw another drop because, quite frankly, if there was another drop, then they should have been DQ'd according to the rules.
And unless it didn't hit the ground.
Yeah, if it doesn't hit the ground, they're fine.
That's what I'm saying. Like I heard somebody say that they like kind of fumbled it.
Oh, that's possible.
But it didn't hit the ground.
Yeah, that's possible.
On the first or second time. I don't know. So one time it hit the ground and they got a penalty of 30 seconds because that one's 30 seconds, not 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Why different than the other penalties? I have no idea. Because again, it gives you no benefit to drop the bag.
No. This is so Beth and I talked about this a little bit before, and I'm kind of like I think it's a stupid rule. There's no advantage to putting the bag down. It just slows you down, right? Yeah, sure, people will rest with it, but it's not an advantage. It's a time suck. So I've always been like
kettlebells. Have you seen the new way they're like switching the kettlebells now, where they'll run up behind them and switch them in mid-air?
Yep.
Like there's no benefit to sitting the kettlebells down. Like sitting the sandbag down should be just like sitting the kettlebells down. As long as you make no forward progress, then it's fine. I even think like in the open races, as long as you're not impeding like the path for other people to go, then you can drop your bag, but you have to do it like in a place where you're not impeding other people's progress and you can't yourself make forward progress.
Yeah,
because quite like 100 meters with a sandbag on your back for a normal person is a really freaking long way. Yeah. So like, I mean, if they need to set it down so that they can finish, I don't understand why there's like that you should get DQ'd for that.
No, my only thing I could ever say, and then when we talk, Beth and I talk about it, is exactly what you say, just impeding people's progress. But I still think like, okay, even if, well, I'll go back. Even the rule was supposed to be, or had been until Worlds, if you set the sandbag down, your first set down was 5 meters penalty. Your next set down was a DQ.
Yeah.
If you want people to carry it that bad, just make every set down a 5 meter penalty. You should never be DQ'd for setting a sandbag down.
Yeah.
And
No.
quite frankly, I don't even think the 5 meter penalty is in order, especially at Worlds. But I think, and when they dropped it in a transition area, you can walk in the transition area. Why can't you set the bag down?
Yeah.
So I didn't like that penalty. I don't like the time penalty. They were time penalties either. Now I know that, and I mean, DECA, obviously, I have a great deal to do with penalties and stuff there. But the time penalties at DECA we have for literally missing reps, right? Like you didn't do enough reps, so you get a time penalty there. I think you have no other option but to do that, or you go back and do the rep,
Yeah.
right?
So
Otherwise,
it's not, you're not getting, because like I'm trying, like, because any of the other stuff, if you do it wrong, you just have to do it again.
yes. And then the only other time
Or
really you get a time,
and then you get a time penalty.
yeah, yeah, the only other thing you get a time penalty for is dropping the dumbbells or dropping the ram, and that's a safety deal, right? And
Yeah.
quite frankly,
You could say that dropping the sandbag could be a safety thing.
maybe it is, but they never say that.
Okay. Because I mean, I could see too, like people in a normal race, there's lots of people around,
Yeah.
like dropping the bag, like, because you're going to drop it behind you. So you don't
Mhm.
know who's behind you.
Yeah.
I could see that being like a safety thing. But again, I don't think you should be DQ'd for it. I think maybe a time penalty is more like acceptable there.
Yeah, but again, I would sooner still them have the 5 meters because then you have a situation like you say where you cross the finish line where you cross the finish line, right? And plus,
Yeah.
so if I'm a judge and I'm doing age group or open waivers or whatever, and I like you say, how do I assign these people a 30-second penalty?
Yeah.
Like,
You got to know like what their number is,
I
how
got
to.
as a judge, I got to jot everything down, and when I'm doing that, I'm not watching other people. Like it's just logistically, I don't think it works as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought about the like. I think for Elite 15, like it's not as hard,
Yeah.
but like you said, with the time penalty, like I don't know if it switched up the positions, but I know that like Katie Duke got a penalty one time for like dropping the dumbbells. I don't
Yeah.
know if you remember that. She was in the top three, but I don't know if it switched her position. So technically, I mean, you could get a time penalty in DECA and it could switch the positions.
It can, but those ones are like I say, that's a safety infraction. I think that one, I can't remember if she got the time penalty or not. I don't think she got it on that one. She should have. That was before me.
Um,
But
because I feel like because Viola got like I think it was Viola
mhm,
at relay. She like set the kettlebells down, but one of them fell over, and the
it
rules are they have to be up. So she had to run back and set them up. Otherwise, she would have got a 2 minute penalty.
was Rylan. Happened to Rylan.
Yeah. So maybe you could do well. DECA has dumbbells, so it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
you can't really enforce that.
Well, and they don't really have to. Pretty much for us, like as long as you have both hands on the dumbbell when you set it in the box, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's it because that's safe, right?
Mhm.
I'm not looking for anything to ever penalize anybody, right? It's just
Yeah.
we know those. I just don't want to see nobody's ankles taken out.
Yeah. I mean that was when the what was it? Worlds 2023.
Yeah.
All the flying rams. Like, oh
I
my God.
I
I
took
didn't
my
want to
own
be
shoe off.
the burpees. Like anywhere near the burpees was like danger zone.
Yeah. I took my own shoe off in the strong at the end of the burpees. Dropped it right behind me, clipped the back of my heel, my shoe, and took it right off.
Dave, you did that. You're not supposed to drop the ram.
This was when it was legal. It was okay.
I didn't think it was ever okay. I didn't think you were supposed to do that in general.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got away with it then, but I totally dropped it. Like last rep, up over the head, drop straight behind, head forward to the finish line.
Bad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's okay. In the it last year when we came third, my last burpee rep should have been a no rep 100%.
Did you like how extended I got this weekend?
That was pretty. You were reaching Jesus.
Lats were popping.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was straight up. We have had some really good reps. Like it has improved a lot. People are buying it. And
Oh yeah. I mean, but the thing is like now, like we've talked about, they're actually enforced, which
yeah.
is one good. And like I think you've took more out of like the gray area, and it makes it like that's the thing that I don't like about the wall balls in High Rocks. I feel like depending on your judge, there can be like too much discrepancy.
Mhm.
Like, I worked hard on my wall ball depth for Worlds because I was like, I know that I typically ride the line, and I was like, I'm not getting a judge that like freaking dings me. So I did my first 50. I did the first 55. I got the first one was a no rep, and then I did 55, all perfect. Go me. But then Bridget got like every other rep, and I just think, and I don't know why the judge was like so strict. I mean, I don't think hers could have looked any less deep than mine. They looked fine. So
I've seen videos of Bridget's wall balls, and sadly, it's not a great camera angle, so I can't
mm,
say definitively. But from what I saw, and much like Chris Rogowski too, and I've seen lots of videos of her, and it's not a great camera angle. But from what I saw in both of them, they both looked good. Like,
yeah, I mean, she
yeah,
looked good. I would have like I would admit it if I thought that she looked like because in Miami we got like 40 no reps. Like it was ridiculous. Like every other rep was a no rep, mine too, and that's why I was like, I'm not running into that again in World Championships. So, um, but I think that like some judges just get out of hand and they're like ass to grass, and I was like, that is not the standard.
no,
Like so, but I feel like most most other exercises for high rocks they're pretty like cut and dry.
yeah.
Like it's pretty easy to tell. Oh, the burpees are kind of
It's the
like
burpees and the wall balls.
what is 30 centimeters? I
So
don't know.
12 inches.
But no, I'm just like joking. Like,
Oh,
how do I know that I'm 30 centimeters in front of my feet?
so here's something I actually like this part. And I know Beth and I are probably going to talk about this more next week, but they finally clarified where it is. Because so when I did the judging in Vegas, they were telling us 12 inches from tip of the finger to tip of the toe, which is a massive difference than 12 inches from the back of the hand to the tip of the toe, which is now what they're saying. So, and by the way, if you are an American audience, 12 inches, 30 centimeters, roughly the same thing.
I'm aware of that, but I'm just like, so are all these people so good at eyeballing what 12 inches is? 30 centimeters?
Well, yes.
Like, like, no, like, unless you have a ruler, like, I just
Oh,
feel like it's such a gray area
yeah.
of like where you put your hands, and some judges are going to be less strict than other judges. Like, I think the standard should be that your hands have to be placed fingertips to toes.
So your fingertips right where your toes are.
Yep.
So here's my way. I went the other direction. I like I don't care where you put your hands, but the minute your feet land, your feet don't move until you do your next jump. So you don't have to kick your feet back. You can actually lie forwards, but your feet can't make any forward. So this is from RX1. They've done it this way. And well, actually,
Yeah.
they've also done it the way where it's just like dive bomb burpees, go for it. But
I'll
yeah,
go for that.
they would be entertaining.
Yeah.
Like it,
I think they should do. I saw a hybrid race, like, so, I don't know, somewhere in Europe where they had lines
yep.
and you just jump to the lines. Like, so everybody does the same amount of burpees. So you're not really benefited by jumping further, or like you can't jump further. You have to hit each line.
Okay, so
And
what if you can't make the jump to the line?
the line is only like a meter.
Oh, okay.
They're like really short lines. Like, so you go down on the line and you jump to the next line.
I'd be down with that.
Yeah. So then you just have to have lines every meter. So it's like less of a
They they already have the lines every meter. That's already done.
yeah.
Yeah. So no, I would be down with that. That's okay.
So then you just end up making everybody's short jumps shorter, but then like everybody does the same amount of burpees. I mean, obviously, it doesn't benefit the people who are really good jumpers, but I think that it ends up being more fair because then there's no like gray area. You jump from one line to the next line, and that's it. So
Yeah, the
put your
only
hands wherever, but your feet have to land on each line, and that's what it is.
yeah, the only other way too, like I mean, you could do a burpee over a bar kind of thing or a burpee over a box kind of thing, but then you need people.
Not count.
Yeah, then you need counters.
Counting's no good. Counting takes too many judges.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're already run into that. I mean, we saw videos judges of judges at Worlds counting two people, and sometimes judge people with nobody counting, which trust me is a problem I can relate to. Like
That's the I feel like DECA is going to run into. If I don't think DECA could scale to the size of High Rocks because the amount of judges you would need would be like, I mean, you have to have like multiple judges for lunges, box overs, sit ups,
that
all over burpees,
you
sled pull.
you want to hear some of my numbers? These are the numbers in my
What?
head. So we drove
Yeah.
like more than 12 hours coming back. So Ryan and I just crunched numbers and solved every problem in the world. We went like 8 hours without listening to the radio because we were just problem solving. Um, Realistically, I think if in a Deca, in the footprint that you have in Deca, you could probably put through about 22 to 2,500 entries, right? And so let's say
Mm-hmm.
half of that is teams. We're looking at like 3,500 people, right?
Okay.
That's, I think, the max the actual footprint will hold.
Yeah.
If you do that, I would need bare bones minimum 62 judges at all times.
Yeah. See, I just don't think that's like
Yeah,
realistic.
no, but that's what it would take to do that.
Because how many judges do you think like I mean, you don't need that many judges for the ski erg and the sleds in High
Well,
Rocks.
yeah, like well, yeah, for that. Yeah, you don't need it.
Put through so many people. I mean, when I was in Miami, there were some heats that had 70 people.
Mhm. Yeah.
But also like so even with the ski erg, there's 70 people. What if somebody leaves early? How are you going to know one of those people leave early? Unless they're like the first person, they're going to watch the people at the front.
And
But
and
like if they leave early, how do you know which one left early, which ski erg's theirs, what number they were? Like,
and let's not underestimate people's ability to blatantly cheat. So if I'm on the ski erg and I
yeah.
want to cheat and it's a big fucking crowd like that, when they maybe
Mm-hmm.
got 1 to 2 judges in there who literally are just doing all they can to reset machines.
Yeah.
If I ski and they're off doing whatever and I get to 900, let them go, hit reset and gone.
Yeah. Nobody would know.
Who's gonna know?
Who's going to know? And they said, I've heard that with the sled, they like when your timing chip crosses, they have like a mat.
There is a mat that tells you how many back and forths you do, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But oftentimes during the sled pull, I mean, and I've known because when I've done mine, I think it was in New York especially, like I'm pulling and I got close to the line, right? Like I was right there. I don't know if my heel clipped it or not, and I looked over to see if I was getting a warning, and there was no judge to be found.
yeah.
So I'm like, how many people are blatantly abusing that?
Or even like, I mean, they should get penalties, but they're not. Even if you're not
Yeah.
like blatantly stepping out, like, I mean, you're not supposed to step on the line. So some people are getting penalties
Yeah.
for stepping on the line, and some people aren't. Um. So yeah, I don't know. And I mean, you could head out of a lot of state. I mean, I guess really rower and ski would be the only ones you could kind of like leave early, and nobody would know.
Well, again, I guess it depends where the judges are on the burpees too, because if they're not near the finish line, you could, hack off a couple burpees early and just walk out.
I saw a guy do that in Miami. He just like the judge was giving him a lot of shit because he was like dive bombing these burpees,
Yeah.
And like then he just starts frog jumping. No burpee, just jumping. And I'm just like, okay. Um, but I mean, it's tough because you get people that get like all heated and angry, and so I don't know. Um,
There was
but
there was a lot of talk that the judging at High Rocks Worlds they went overboard, that they went from letting everything in the world go to just like going crazy the other direction, did the complete 180.
they'll they're making up they made up rules that didn't even exist. Like I had one of my friends that she was running solo, so she's doing lunges and the bag is on her back, but she's kind of like got her arms like rested by the side, and the judge like runs over to her and is like, "You have to have your hands on the bag," and she's like, "That's not
Nope,
a rule.
that's not a rule.
Like that's not a rule. Like stop making up rules."
Yeah, yeah. And just to play devil's advocate, there was a time at a DECA event, one of the judges told one of the athletes, you can't stand up on the bike. You have to have your butt on the seat. Like,
Not a rule.
I don't know. No, not this time. This is why, and I don't know where that came from because somebody asked me, but I'm like, no, that's not a rule. So sometimes,
People do this. I get used to get that in Spartan race all the time. Like I one time I was like carrying a bucket and I sat it down and the judge was like, "That's 10 burpees." I'm like, "No, it's not. Like, what are you talking about? Get away from me!" Like,
that's
I'm not
even
doing
better
ten
because they not only
burpees.
did they make up a rule, they made up a penalty for the rule.
Yeah,
That's
I did not
awesome.
do the burpee.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was the one thing though. It did like that the whole lead it up to that thing. I was curious, like, because I'm looking at when they gave them the rule for that, um, to drop the bag, and it was a time penalty, and I'm like, I'm digging through the rule book. I'm like, this isn't anywhere in the rule book. Where did this come from? And even the penalty for the rower handle, it says it's not allowed, but it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't say a penalty for it. It doesn't say what it is.
They they said the penalties at the briefing.
Yeah, I know, but that's what.
They also told us that this was not, and I think it's so weird that there's like a penalty for the rower, but there's not a penalty. So if you left your platform before the skier said 1,000, they said you would be disqualified.
That's what Viola got a penalty for last year for like 3 second penalty or something like that.
Well, they told us this year if you left before it hit 1,000, disqualified. Like they're making shit up. I don't know. Like
So, and again, my opinion, disqualifications are for abuse of an official or an athlete, deliberately cutting a course. Like, I mean, like, and even then, I'm probably just because deliberate is very hard to prove. So it's more like you just give a monstrous time penalty. But yeah, it's pretty much for a safety infraction or abuse of somebody. That's what DQs are for in my mind. Not
so,
for,
what did you think about the DQ of the USA team?
I actually probably would have done the same thing. However, it sucked. It's horrible. And sadly,
So, but other sports though, like so, if you were playing football and your one of your teammates like goes out and hits somebody, like you don't lose the game, but the
no,
guy gets fined.
correct. No, keep in mind like my comparison there, like obviously contact sport versus non-contact sport.
Well, you can't just go punching people though in
No,
football.
correct. You can in hockey though. But no,
Like,
yes.
but you only get a fine for like doing something unsportsmanlike.
Yes, yeah. But so here's the process. The only problem is if you're looking at it, the options, one, they did it what they did because that is, in my mind, the reason they do that is because that's the only option the rule book gave them, right? So let's just say, for argument's sake, they had thought about this ahead of time as a possibility. I would think options could be one, you take away the entire time that runner gave or whatever, or double the time. Somehow make that run invalid, right? So you whatever time they took to do their leg of the race, you double that. Because basically,
Well, then they lose anyways.
exactly. But you can't you have to hit it hard enough that no one else is going to do something like this. Right? You have to. The only issue I have with it is that three people who ran a great race and deserved it lost their position and lost their money. And the
Yeah.
sad part about that is it comes down to you picked the wrong teammate and your teammate did a selfish thing.
Yeah.
And I hate it because I mean, God, I love all those people. They're amazing people. And I saying like I made
Yeah.
it wasn't me, but I would have made the same decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
mean, I get it. I feel like I don't know.
it's
I
it's
feel like I feel like there's not much else you could have done,
no. The
but
the only thing I said that I maybe would have done different, and I don't even know because I don't have all the video and everything else, is I might have given Jeremy a penalty as well. But I
yeah.
needed all I saw was a quick little 2 second thing in his what he was doing there. While it was a bit of being a dick, it wasn't enough to give him a penalty.
I also feel like, they were in that first run. Like sometimes when you're jostling for,
Yeah,
it might have not been the, the nicest way to go about it, but I mean, I think he was more like aggressively racing.
you're talking Hunter or Jeremy?
No, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Hunter straight up pushed him.
Well, yeah, he ran from 3 feet away and come across to push him.
Yeah. So I feel like while it might have been like, I wouldn't say what Jeremy did was unsportsmanlike. I would say that he was being a very aggressive with his like cut ins.
Yeah, yeah,
But they were such a big pack too. Like it's hard to maneuver like you're in a big pack of like 15 dudes that are all running pretty fast.
yeah.
I don't know. I get see a very good shot of him like how he cut in front of Hunter, but I don't think that there was actually any contact.
No, I don't think so either. But again, I can't say that for certain, but I did not get the impression there was.
I mean, I've been running track for like ever, and if I like pushed somebody off the track because they cut me off, I'd be pushing a lot of people off the track. Or like somebody who clipped my foot or
Yeah.
something like that. Like when you're racing in a tight pack like that, some of that stuff just happens. Some of it is like reckless, but I wouldn't say that it's like intentionally to hurt somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't believe Hunter wanted to hurt Jeremy, but the problem is he did something that could
Could
potentially
have hurt.
could have really
Jeremy's a big.
yeah.
If that had been like Tim or like some smaller guy, he might have really hurt him.
Yeah. Yeah. And if he got tangled up, if he had just been like a couple feet closer to one of those uprights for the fence, for the flags and stuff
Yeah.
on the fence, could have jabbed him in a rib, broke a rib. There could have been a lot of shit gone wrong there. Could have twisted a knee. A lot of things could have happened, and that was
And people behind him like tripped up, and I mean you've seen those races where like somebody trips
a train
and
wreck.
then it like the whole falls behind them. I mean, so many things could have happened. I'm
Yeah.
glad like they didn't, but
Yeah.
yeah,
It was and I mean, it was a childish move. You know,
yeah,
it was a childish move. It was the kind of thing that a kid does because they felt, oh, or and I say childish, maybe it's an adult move for road rage. Like it shows no self-control. And
yeah,
definitely, I mean, it's a spur of the moment, but yeah, no consideration for your teammates. You're playing a
yeah,
team game, and you know, yeah, it was a bad move.
yeah. Yeah, I gotta imagine. Yeah, if you just don't like have, I'm imagining Hunter's just like kind of impulsive.
Yeah,
Like so, I know he's probably not thinking. Obviously I didn't think he like would do it to
no,
intentionally hurt like any of his team. But
nope,
like in that moment, you're in your adrenaline's high and you're just like, oh, like I think he just has that like that fight mentality. I
Yeah.
think it's part of the reason good. Like he
Yep.
just like he's ready to battle like anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Yep.
Like let's go. But sometimes I think that kind of mentality just gets you into trouble.
I've often said everybody's best characteristic is often their worst too.
Yeah,
Generally
yeah,
someone who's so cool and laid back is often really lazy. It just, it's just like that. So yeah, yeah. It was sad and disappointing, but as soon as it happened when I watched it live, I'm like, that's a DQ. That's it. You're out. Like there's no other way.
yeah,
And I take it for me, if I happened on in a Deca race, it would be a DQ. And that I wouldn't have hesitated. The only
yeah.
thing I would have done differently is, to be perfectly honest, is I would have DQ'd him on the spot.
Mm. Yeah, because it sucks because I know a lot of the people were running like more races. So,
Mhm.
they put like energy on their legs that they didn't really need to put if they knew that they were going to get disqualified. Like, I mean, that was the first run.
Yeah, that's I mean, like, and it was first run, and it was very visible. You saw it happen. There was no, and people when I've told that to, I have said, well, there was mitigating circumstances. Jeremy was doing this, 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 this. I don't care if Jeremy did the exact same thing to Hunter. It doesn't take away what Hunter did. Now, does that mean
Yeah.
if Jeremy would Jeremy deserve a DQ too? Yeah, absolutely. But
Yeah.
you can't, there's no justify it, right? You can't, it doesn't matter what happened. You can't justify it. If Jeremy had said the world's worst thing in the world to Hunter, the most insulting thing possible, and he shoved him into the fence, it doesn't matter. That means he got suckered in,
Yeah.
you know?
And I'm sure they try to do that to him because they know that
100%.
he's
Here you go. Here you go. Conspiracy
Jeremy did it on. Who
conspiracy
knows?
theory. Jeremy did it on purpose. He sucked him in.
Yeah, he succeeded.
Yeah, this was the
Moved
play.
moved Ireland up a place.
Here's what happened. The Australian team paid Jeremy to sucker Hunter in to get him DQ'd, therefore getting the win. It's all come together.
That's what it was.
Led by
Mm,
the lizard men and the aliens. They all
yeah,
set it up. Uh, anyway,
that's funny.
it was still it was a great race to watch. I'm gonna ask you this. I think the relay's broken.
Yeah.
I think it should be revamped. And Ted, tell me what you think of this. I think, and I don't know if you saw this, but the New Zealand team comes into the sled and has to
Hmm.
wait for the Australian team to finish with their sled because they didn't have another men's sled ready to go. And now when you do the relay, like especially in these, you have to have so many sleds ready for women, so many sleds ready for men for the co-ed relay. I think the co-ed relay should follow the same rules as the co-ed doubles, and everybody should do men's open weights. What do you think?
Yeah. Or do it like doubles and like only have women's relay and men's relay. Like have two relays.
Yeah, yeah, that's the other option too. And actually, Beth and I mentioned that a little bit, but I was curious, which way would you go?
Um. Well, I feel like changing it to open men's weight would would make the strategy like way too predictable because you're definitely going to put a man on the sled. You already going to have a man on two ergs. Like then you're like I feel like all the spots are already like I think there's like some coolness to like okay, well, where are you going to put everybody? So I
There,
like there to be more flexibility within the race. Um, and I feel like if you do an all men's and all women's team, you can maybe pull like different athletes,
yeah,
um, like not just all high rocks people. Um, but obviously they're going to be like probably the best suited. But I feel like you could probably find somebody that's maybe like not the top. Like, I mean, you take Bridget, you put her in like freaking lunges and burpees.
hmm
I would put her up against anybody except maybe Kate Davy in the burpees.
Kay Davies burpees are
She
insane.
fast,
Yeah, that would be no, and I'd be down with that. I just think that the
but I
co-ed,
mean,
yeah, I just think the co-ed relay is kind of broken. It's just
Yeah. Well, if they can't have all the sleds ready, then that's an issue.
yeah.
Um, I don't even know why you would. I don't. But I guess I would imagine that most people would put women on the sled.
Yeah, and women on the sled, women on the wall balls. You put the guys on the
Yeah.
ergs.
Women on the farmer's carry, men on the ergs.
Yep.
Um, I feel like a lot of the men lunge really fast.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. So
Men on burpees probably.
I think you're right, and I think I'd like to see two of the races, all men in one, all women in the other, and then we'll see all sorts of cool strategies.
Yeah, and you pull that's the thing. I wish the I don't know how I feel about the qualification this year for doubles.
I think it's
I,
stupid.
I I'm not is it all off time?
Yeah. No. Well, it's just like the majors. So it's you have to have a high time, like a higher proceeding time to be part of the Elite 15 for the race.
But
So
you also have to run it with that partner, right?
to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just hard enough already in the US to get to enough races to do solo races, much less freaking adding in. I feel like it's just making you race too much, and there's not enough races to if you're in Europe, you could race almost every freaking weekend
Mhm.
within probably 3 hours. Like right now we're in a dead period, and then the closest race for me, I guess, is Toronto,
And you're not
which
going.
uh,
Did you get in?
I think I'm in.
Oh, okay. There you go. Good. Good.
Um, but so if I do Toronto, but then the other races are Dallas, or I think in Dallas is the one, Houston, one of those Texas places,
No.
and LA. LA is a 7 hour ordeal. It's like going to Europe.
Yeah. 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 It's pretty much the same thing.
So it's there's just not that many opportunities to race, and if you're trying to do, unless you're the top, it's going to be hard for you to try to do both. You're going to have to be okay, well, I'm just going to do doubles with my partner and do that, because it's going to be hard to qualify for anything if you're racing twice in one weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't. Yeah. I'm next week, Beth and I are supposed to talk about all the rules and stuff or all the new changes and whatnot, qualifications. So I'm not going to do too much, but I'll ask you about all it. So that's the one for the doubles. What do you think about the basically the changes this year for the single solo qualifications are they've ditched the LCQ and brought in these three regionals, which are just like the majors, except you need to have a valid passport or whatever citizenship of that area, and only the one person who wins or the top finisher who has not qualified goes on. What do you think about those?
I think there's a few issues with that. So one of the ones being, what if you don't live in your I know Jess Towell, great athlete. She lives in the UAE, but she has I think she's from the UK, so she would have to fly to London to do the race, and she can't compete where she actually lives. And
Hmm.
I'm sure there's other athletes like that, expats, whatever.
Well, I think
So
Jess Petro is living in like New Jersey and is from Australia. Now I don't know if she's got a dual citizenship thing going on or what, but
yeah, so then potentially maybe she'd have to fly all the way to wherever they have the race for that.
yeah.
So I don't think that is fair. And plus, I thought the last chance qualifier was freaking fire. It was the best race of the year. Like, so cool. Why would they get rid of that? I think it was definitely the best race of the year. You got to see people come out that had never ran an Elite 15 race. I thought that they would see that race and they'd be like, man, we need to have a race that is more like that. So it's more open to I would like to see you run a minimum time and you can get into any major, and like if that's 15 people, fine. If it's 30 people, fine. If it's 50 people, fine. Have two heats.
Yeah.
Like, and you can, and just like the last chance, you can qualify from whatever heat, but you'd be seated by time.
Hmm.
So, like, maybe as a woman, you have to run like, I
65?
don't know, 65. As a man, you have to run 59. I don't know.
Yeah. Even sub 60. Says it on the back of the shoe.
I mean, there's a lot more men that run sub 60 than women that run 65.
Yeah, especially considering Germany.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe even make it like 66.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could.
Whatever. Like, and I think then you would get like people who like the Emily Diamonds and the Sine, like these people showed up to that last chance qualifier and then they showed up at Worlds.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like it's not really also that fair that um these auto qualifiers, like I think it's great that like there are like five people that can plan their season and they can be like, okay, well I'm going to do these races and I'm going to, but for everybody else, I feel like that's like in that like spot jostling for they have to race way more, they have to travel way more, like, so I feel like just having it open with a time minimum. And so what? Hyrix, what if they want to make it a big thing? I mean, I thought that they did a pretty cool job with the coverage of the last chance qualifier. Like they could still do coverage. They're so attached to that stupid grid that they only want to do it on the grid, which I think is dumb because I think it's more fun to watch it when it's like on the course because you see people next to each other. Like you see them like battling it out. Um, so I wish they would change it all to open with a time qualifier, ranked by time. Doesn't matter how many people. Print out a few extra shirts if you want everybody to wear the same gear, whatever. Make it look cool. Um, I don't know. I just feel like they like pigeonhole like a few people, or pigeonhole is not the right word, but like the people who are at the top are set up to stay at the top,
Yeah.
and it's hard for like other people to kind of like break through. Because I mean, look at freaking Morgan and Kat ran freaking awesome times.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, outran. I do think that running. I didn't run the regular course. I think the elite course was pretty long.
Yeah.
Like I, because I don't get. So when we run in and out,
Yep.
like we don't have a rock zone, but we do have a rock zone. Like we still have to run into the sleds and like, there's still a rock zone, but it's not like that rock zone is not included into the run time.
Yeah.
So the run is longer because so for Chicago, like all the regular age group runners, laps 2 through 7, they only had to do 2 laps. We had to do 3 laps.
Oh,
So
wow.
our first lap was basically the same. The 2 through 7, we did 3 laps, they did two, and their last lap was long, but our last lap was short. And like even if you look at the women's doubles time, that one age group was faster than Lauren and faster than Sinead and Lucy.
Yeah.
And I know that that girl and her partner are really really fit, but I don't think that they're like faster than. I think the course was pretty long. And Dylan thought that it was pretty long too. So
They're
but it doesn't matter.
all the
You're racing
same.
on the course.
Yeah.
But I just thought that it was pretty long.
They're all the same. That's what they keep telling me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Even
yeah. So, I mean, I'm not even going to say what I think because, like I said, I would just go off for a long time, and I'll do that next week because it'll fill the whole show. Um, so, yeah. What's the plans for next year? You're going back? Are you say you're going to focus on singles? Does that mean singles for High Rock, singles for Deca, or what are you going to do? Or both, or some doubles?
I don't know. I'm in my off season like kind of cut right now. I mean, obviously, I've talked a lot on my page about. I feel like I've used my eating disorder as like a crutch for me to just eat whatever I want.
Hmm.
And all the pictures of like Miami, I was very displeased with the way that I look, and I just felt heavy, and like I feel like I'm like so far into my like recovery right now that I feel like I can make like changes that would help my performance instead of like just being like, oh, like I was talking to my friend at practice today, and he's like, he also trains with me, and he brought me all these cookies, and typically I would just eat all the cookies because I shouldn't restrict myself from eating cookies, but I don't need to eat like 12 cookies because I
Probably true.
can. So I feel like so much of me is like this extreme, like all or none, like kind of
Hmm.
mentality, and I feel like I could find somewhere in the middle where I can still, like fuel myself in a way that's going to be like productive for exercise, but also like have some semblance of like control over like overeating or saying that, oh, this is just for fueling, like. And now that I'm in the off season, I feel like it's a good opportunity to do that. I'm like, my volume, my intensity is low. I'm not so worried about my performance right now. I'm actually tracking my calories, which really made me realize how much I was eating. Probably close to 4,000 a day, because now I've cut back to about 2,500, and I'm just like, wow, I must have been eating like almost double this, like,
Yeah.
and I don't think I really quite realized it until I'm actually around other people. Like when I was with Bridget, I was like, these people don't eat a lot. Like I'm like starving, but it's because I eat so much and I'm eating all day, and like, and I think you can overeat as an athlete. Obviously, like if you're in a training cycle, you need all that food, but there is a point like obviously weight is going to come into like it's not. I've had this like discussion like, and I feel like I always seem like to make it say that weight doesn't matter, like which is not what I'm trying to like convey at all. Like the type of weight that you have matters. Like obviously 5 pounds of muscle is like way different than 5 pounds of fat. Like so, and if the sleds end up being lighter after Sledgate, we're not going to go off Chicago, but like I mean, I think you've even seen it. Like I've seen a few videos of Meg, and she looks like she's lost some weight.
But she's,
Like obviously she was really poor,
yeah, she's publicly said that
but
she's cut back on her strength training because she feels High Rocks doesn't take that much strength anymore.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like Vivian's leaned out like a lot. Um, and so you see like the way the athletes are is kind of like shifting. Like that you're not going to see like a Miriam Van Roar anymore. It's going to be at the top of High Rocks, because High Rocks has turned into a running with a little bit of strength versus like a running and strength event. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, my focus in the off season is just get healthy, get back to like more of my DECA weight. Like I usually run DECA lighter because
It's
it's
faster.
obviously not faster. It's not a lot of strength at all. Like it's really just like little obstacles like put in your way that don't require you to have a lot of strength. If anything, it's more like agility and like speed, and even like the heavy op stuff is like farmer's carry is like you're still running with them, and so it's like way more aerobic than it is strength. Um so I'll probably just try to like stay around that kind of like weight all year round. Which I can. Again, it's just like not eating like an asshole, not like giving my like
Not
self.
not eating like me.
Yeah, yeah, no pizza every night and stuff like that. So just being like more reasonable, actually eating like semi healthy versus. I mean, some people can eat like Dylan, and obviously he's like stays really lean and light, and that works for him. But I mean, for all athletes, it's not going to work that way. Some people are going to have to like watch a little closer what they eat. um, to meet their goals. Such is life.
Yeah, I mean it's a balancing act, and I mean like some
But I'm pretty like,
yeah, like it's a balancing act, and for someone like you who's had issues in the past, it's a slippery slope, and it's hard to navigate, right? But you got to find that right spot, and
well,
it's
I'm pretty, like I feel like I'm pretty like in tune with it though, because even after the stroke, which is wild, because Colin just sent me another like young female athlete that she's like an Olympic weightlifter,
Mhm.
and she had a stroke. I've been seeing so many young people. I don't know like what's going on with the world, but like after the stroke, I'd actually lost a lot of weight, like probably too much weight.
Mhm.
I've even had the feeling like, oh, okay, I gotta like be more conscious of eating more. So I feel like I kind of know like where I feel my best when I'm racing, and I don't really want to be below there either. Like I want to feel strong, but at the same time, like I know that some of the weight is not like serving me like it should.
Yeah.
Um, so being a little more disciplined with that and trying to get all my ailments under control in the off season. And then who knows? I'm going to see how that goes, and I'd love to like if I do try to target solo, I'd probably try to hit up the regional race and make that like my A race, and just try to really send it there
And
because I think that would be probably my only chance to get into world solo.
this is what I hate is last year you could have targeted the
Um,
LCQ and been sure you were going and gonna get a chance, and now it's just not there.
because yeah, even the top 15, I'll probably still need to run one more solo race and probably hit like a 64
Yeah.
so that I mean, I'm thinking that 65 average, like, because right now my average is like I ran a 106.04 and a 106.02. So my average is like 106.
But you've been down the
So I,
102s.
yeah, but it's not within the calendar year.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just saying that, but it's within you to drop down there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying, like, for right now, like my qualifying time would be 106, and I'm not 100% sure that would be enough
Yeah.
to even get me into the regional top 15. So I think if I could get my average to 105, run like a 64 low or a 63 high, I think that would be enough to like to get me in there. But who knows too? Like I mean, competition just heating up. Maybe you need a 63 because I think for the majors, most of the majors this year, I think my fastest time was like 63:30, and I would have needed to run. I think the to get into the elite 15, you needed like a 63 like '07 like average. So I needed to run like a 62 mid to
Yeah.
like get into the majors. So um yeah, so you just don't know. I feel like every year everybody's gonna get a little bit better, and like right now, I feel like I'm just like trying to catch back up on the train and try not to let it leave me out of the station.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. All right. I think we're gonna call her a night.
All right, sounds
I gotta
good.
get up in the morning. Tara, say
Yeah.
bye to everybody. Thanks everybody for listening. And Tara, thank you for coming on. As always, it's been way too long. Tara is always one of our favorites and always will be. So hopefully we'll have her again back soon. And hopefully we'll be seeing her in the Elite 15 and High Rocks this year and everywhere else. So take care, everyone.